Hi, welcome to today's show of Focus. Today with me I have Dr. Deon Anderson, from Elite Kayaking and Nature Tours. Today he's going to be talking to us about who he is, what he stands for, and also about his upcoming project, which is the Into School Kayaking Tournament, or what we may say competition, on April the 3rd. So let's just step right into it while Mr. Anderson give us his do's and his don'ts, and also what we should expect this coming April the 30th. Mr. Deon Anderson, welcome to Focus.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure actually having you been some time also. So for our viewers who don't know who Dr. Deon Anderson is, for my correction again, I'm sorry. Do you mind letting them know who you are, sir?
All right, well, I'm Deon Anderson. I'm the owner and proprietor of Elite Kayaking and Nature Tours, which is one of the only licensed tour operators in Linden. And we specialize in tours, and also we'll be telling you a bit more about Inter-Schools kayaking competition. But in terms of a bit about me and my background, I'm a chemical engineer by profession. I specialize in water and wastewater engineering. And when it comes to interaction with persons, with people working with youths and youth empowerment, we're all about that.
Great. Also, Elite Kayaking and Nature Tours is something that we've seen, has taken over, or what we could say, set the stage mostly, let's say, during the pandemic, which is something ironic when we all should be inside. Right. But I mean, we've seen how it blossomed into a very well-known, tourist attraction site. So talk us through what it was then to where it's at now.
Right, you actually mentioned a quite interesting point there, because when we started, it was on the 24th of February 2020, literally just a month before the pandemic hit. And when we started a very small scale there at the Woodsucker Guest House, kayaking in the rivers. And soon after, we made such a huge investment to really push forward and boost tourism in Linden. The pandemic hit Guyana, and everything was just basically on a shutdown. But being the research-oriented person I am, we decided to do a bit of research in terms of what the pandemic is all about, in terms of the virus, the virology of it, how it is transmitted, and our activities are based on water-based tourism ventures. And when we looked specifically at CARFA, which is the Caribbean Public Health Association, the virus was not necessarily transmitted through water. Actually, water and soap was kind of pushed as one of the best ways to get rid of the virus. And so our activities, we remodeled it a bit during that time to kind of provide an opportunity for persons to come out while they, and as you said, it was a bit ironic because you were kind of instructed to stay indoors. Yeah. But stay indoors so that you can be distanced from persons and not necessarily in contact. Our activities were centered around being in the outdoors, where you breathe clean, fresh air, and basically distance apart from others. So inherently, you'll be practicing social distancing and also interacting in very small groups, but at a very safe distance, following all of the necessary standard operating procedures and guidelines outlined by the World Health Organization and so forth. So our start was met with that challenge, but challenges are just breeding grounds to really overcome and remodel, to basically put your best foot forward. And it actually evolved into something that persons gravitated to very naturally, very easily, because persons were dying to go outside. Yeah. Persons really wanted something to go outside, to have clean fun, breathe clean air, and just do something that actually helps their bodies to, in terms of the physiotherapy and in terms of the physical and cardiovascular activities that are happening there. You literally get to put your muscles to good practice, keep your heart rate up and everything, because it's a very physical activity. So I think, while it was met with a bit of a challenge at the beginning, it has evolved over the period, and it's now something that persons really gravitate to.
But also what many may know also of the services that you provide right there at the Woodsucker House is the jet skiing, which I think really highlights everything that really goes on there. Because the first time I went there, I saw someone in a jet ski. I was like, doing jet skiing in this country. Especially again during the pandemic, I never went on a jet ski before. Right. And then I came, and it was fun. It was I think it was 15 minutes and 5 or 10 or 5. something
Right.
like that. But it was really that good. But you see, the important thing about it, though, actually, to the viewers that are looking, is that he works a lot with the water, and it is important that you stay within, you know,
Right. Right.
within the frame, that you're like a specialist in water, so you work around it. But also we've seen Elite Kayaking also, ventured into different stuff also, not just at Watuka Guest House, but also you guys offer services at the Blue Lake also, tours
Yes.
and things down there. To
Yes.
talk us through that initiative.
So our tours, while we assemble at the Watuka Guest House, our tours are all about educational as well as fun and interactive. So we assemble there at the Watuka Guest House, where we give you an introduction to the tour, where you get to learn about the bauxite legacy of Linden, how it all came into being, and so forth. And when you get to the actual outdoor aspects of the tour, we start off with a bit of mini hiking / nature walk. So we climb the hills, beautiful sand hills surrounding the Blue Lake, where you get a pristine look of the rainforest setting and also a bird's eye view of Linden. So you would have seen Linden many times ordinarily from the road, but seeing Linden from on top of the hills is just a beautiful view
Yeah.
to see. And while we climb those hills, we make different stops so that we can tell you a bit about the history of Linden. Many persons don't know how Linden got its name, how it's connected to the bauxite history and bauxite legacy, and all the communities in Linden, how their names are connected to the bauxite legacy of Linden. So we tell you a bit about that. We tell you a bit about the water, and your reward for making it up to the top of the hill is to reveal to you why that water is blue. Because many persons have their own perceptions why the water is blue. Many people think it's because of the mining. People think it's because of the chemicals. People think it's because of the reflection of the sky. But again, water quality is my forte, and I specialize in that area. And we've done quite a number of water quality analysis, both here locally in Guyana and internationally through some comparative lab testing, Kaizen Environmental Services, and other laboratories. And when we look at the water quality, it's actually just natural, fresh spring waters. But why is it blue? You have to come on the tour for me to tell you why it's blue.
Definitely. We're not done justice to say that here today. But before we go into the kayaking also, we've seen you guys tend to gather some very well-known, influencers, whether it being diplomats, whether it being comedians like Kunji, even Mr. Smith, as a journalist, he was there. But how do you feel, as a proprietor, as the proprietor of Elite Kayaking, to see, people like, Siran Lynch, Ambassador Siran Lynch was there. A bunch of different other, well-renowned public figures here. How do you feel? Like, Deon, I'm actually doing something really good. Talk us through your feeling.
All right, so we've had, as you mentioned, diplomats. We even had, visitors from the American and the U.S. Embassy. We've had visitors. We've actually had the British High Commissioner herself and family there. We've had also, Minister Onish Waldron. She has done it herself. We've had the director of the Guyana Tourism Authority. We've had so many persons, both locally from all walks of life throughout Guyana and internationally. I think we've had, from almost all the Caribbean countries, we've had visitors there. And also from our Hispanic colleagues. So we've had visitors from Cuba, Dominican Republic, Colombia, because we also do the tours in Spanish as well.
For those of you who don't know, this guy actually speaks fluent Spanish.
So we do the tours in Spanish as well. And as I was explaining just now, after all of that mini hiking aspect, that's where now enters the part where everyone looks forward to, which is the kayaking. And the kayaking is just a relaxing feel of paddling in a very stable kayak in the Blue Lake, all across the Blue Lake. And trust me, you've seen the Blue Lake from standing on the land. Imagine looking at those mountains from the water top. It's just an amazing view, blue waters, open sky, and it doesn't end there. When you get across the Blue Lake, you get into a nice rainforest setting, which is black waters covered by a canopy of trees. And that black water is really organically rich waters. So the Blue Lake is connected to some creeks on the other end. We kayak down those creeks and you're greeted by the birds, sometimes the monkeys in the tree. You're exposed to, the flora and fauna. You just immerse yourself totally in nature. When you're finished with all of that, we head back to the Watuka guest house where you just, have lunch, relax, take a jet ski ride, chill by the pool. And so offering that kind of combination, I think persons from all walks of life gravitate towards it. And when we can see persons, it can be from the smallest child to the oldest person. It can be someone from a very simple background or a diplomat. They all say one thing: this is an exhilarating activity and event. It's very relaxing, and it's, they just love it. And we've had guests coming back, bringing more friends. So, we're quite confident based on the feedback we've gotten so far that persons have learned about the history of Linden, about the bauxite legacy, and also they've experienced something very beautiful that's very unique, because this is the only spot in the country where you can get a blue lake in the heart of a city. In Linden, you have 7 different blue lakes. Wow. That's another fact that persons do not know. But this is one that is in the heart of the city, basically. And to top it all off, we take some very beautiful pictures, unlimited photographs throughout the entire journey, and we share that with you, directly to you, at the end of the tour. So you have moments that have been created throughout and that can last a lifetime, basically.
Great. This is great. And now, on April the 30th, you guys will be the host of the inter-school kayaking
competition.
Mm-hmm. Talk us through. Well, this is actually the second year, actually.
Yes, exactly.
My bad. This is actually, I think it was around this time last year.
Precisely.
Which was the first one. Talk us through the process.
So the inter-schools kayaking competition is where we bring a new concept of sports tourism to Guyana. So all that I've mentioned just now highlights the tourism capacity of Linden and Guyana. And now we're adding it as a sport where you bring the disciplines of tourism, culture, youth, and sports, and of course, education into focus. And so these 3 sectors are actively involved through the ministers of sports, tourism, and the minister of education. And so what you'll be finding on that day is that you're going to have a showcase of stamina and speed on the water top in one of the main rivers of Guyana, which is the Demerara River at the Watuka Riverfront. At this competition, you're going to have all of the high schools in Region 10. We know District 10 has the title of 6 consecutive years in sports and athletics. And so we've put all the schools together to really, see who is the best, because contrary to popular belief, people think, Lindeners are just, they're always kayaking. These students have never kayaked before.
Wow.
Right? But you have some students who, as a natural way of life, they paddle to school, paddle around, they live in the riverine areas. And so bringing their way of life to the forefront now in a sport, I think, it really showcases talent and art at the same time. But to make things interesting, we're inviting the 5 top schools in the country. So we're talking about Queen's College, Bishop, St. Stanislaus, St. Rose's, and St. Joseph. They're all coming to participate there as well. And during the practice session, we've seen some interesting competition. That's the inter-schools. In July, we usually host the inter-district. So we're talking about persons from Wakapau, persons from Letem, persons from the Northwest, persons from New Amsterdam, and they're coming to, and also persons from Bartica, right? Last year, interestingly, District 10 won every single category, but Bartica put up a very good fight. I think Bartica and Letem tied for second, which would be District 7 and District 9. And Wakapau, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they got third. All right. So it was Letem that got second, and Bartica and District 2, they tied for third place. So you had some interesting competition happening there, because I would say during last year, when I saw Wakapau team, and I don't know if you've ever visited Wakapau, but to give you an idea, when you get to Wakapaw, you know, when you visit, for example, Queen's College or a school in Georgetown,
Yeah.
you have a lot of cars parked up in the parking lot.
It's a
It's strictly
bunch of
boats.
boats.
And when the bell rings, you know, persons from grade 1 all the way to grade 6 and upwards, they just run into their boats and they
And
paddle away.
paddle
And
out,
this is
yeah.
so amazing because Wakapaw Secondary is almost what I would describe as an island. And so these persons, they paddle to school every day. They paddle to go to church. So they're inherently there. That's part of their way of life. So I was expecting them to win that competition. But I know some persons have transitioned a bit from paddling to engine boats. So they're kind of, you know, practicing less. And so, but they did extremely well. And I must say that the competition was stiff, it was tight, and it brought in a new, because it's a novel sport, so a new kind of, you know, competition to the sports arena. And so, you know, we have so much interesting things to look forward there. I know the inter-schools is going to be grand, and there's so much other things, you know, I guess we'll talk about.
But see, let's just talk about one of the most serious elephant in the room right now, which is going to be security. I mean, every parent or every parent or guardian would want to know that, you know what, when they kid leave from home, perhaps let's talk about a parent from Queen's College or St. Joseph. They want to know that, you know what, hey, when we go to Linden and my son or daughter or my niece or nephew hits that water, it must be secure.
Right.
What are the security implementation that you guys have in store here?
Yeah, sure. So, and that, of course, is a very important point because safety is our number one priority, right? First of all, to be able to have been operating since during the pandemic to now, it means that safety had to be, you know, very tight. And in terms of our standard operating procedures, you know, we don't play with that. So first of all, we're a licensed store operator, and that means we're licensed by law to obey every single regulation that comes with these kind of activities. So leading up to this activity or this event, we've met with not only the Ministry of Education, but the Guyana Olympics Association, National Athletics Association, and have, you know, stakeholder engagement. And one of the things that we did last year, which we will continue to do, is first and foremost, life jackets will be worn at all times. And these are Coast Guard approved life jackets. So persons can always be safe at all times. Once they're a participant, that will be worn. You have lifeguards, you know, escorting the race from start to finish. And we'll have lifeguards both on the jet skis so that they can be visibly present there. So persons, if they encounter any difficulty, they can be easily, you know, they can easily signal the lifeguard. Lifeguard can easily get to them and take them to safety. We'll have lifeguards on the boat as well. And most importantly, we'll have a water ambulance, right? So the water ambulance will be equipped with medical personnel, medical evacuation team, where persons can rest assured, should they pull a muscle, should they feel tired, any difficulty, doctors, nurses, physiotherapists will be there on the water top as well as in the medical bay on land. So after the race, sometimes persons need a little massage to get their muscles, you know, relaxed. The medical bay on land with physiotherapists, well trained and capable, will be there as well. So life vests, life jackets, lifeguards, and of course, medical evacuation team, and everything will be live. Right? Wow. So we have drone coverage from start to finish. We have, you know, boats that would be in the water top, on the water top, basically, to always ensure that persons are, you know, comfortable. And also, we have flat screen monitors throughout the entire event.
Nobody ain't cheating that.
Right? Exactly. And these monitors will be showcasing the race live on major platforms by the major social media influencers, as well as, you know, the different things, and also even replays, because we're going full, you know, professional style in terms of our display and our production. So we've engaged What's Happening Guyana, we've engaged Watson Technologies and Linden, Visit Guyana, and other persons would be there so that everyone will be seeing all that's happening there. And once we're showcasing it to the world, our safety, of course, will be intact. And also we'll have a few professional, apart from our internal lifeguards, a few professional lifeguards have been trained internationally, will be part of this event as well.
Great. Let's talk about what's up for stake though. Always the best part of the conversation. What's up
Definitely.
with stake?
All right, so there are 7 different categories of competition, which will be long distance and short distance. We also have the single kayaks and the double kayaks. Now, the double kayaks, I think that might be one of the highlights of the day because it will be a relay competition. So where, for example, in the Olympics, you've seen rowing competition with 3, 4 persons rowing together. Here you have 2 persons rowing, but you'll have a person running a 400-meter distance on the road. And instead of tagging their partner, they'll be pushing their partners in double kayaks and they'll be kayaking to the finish line.
Great.
All right. And so each category has a winner and trophies and medals will be awarded. But the grand prize will be trophies and medals to the winning teams of first, second, and third place, and cash prizes also. Now, the cash prizes will be $200,000 first prize, $150,000 second prize, and $100,000 third prize, where 60% of that goes to the students, the winning team, in the form of vouchers that would assist towards their school supplies. And 40% of that goes to the school because we know these schools are taking a lot of interest in preparing their students for this novel sport. And the school can then decide to purchase or invest in what mostly benefits the school. So you have cash prizes, trophies, medals, bragging rights. But of course, we have a few surprises, which I'm just going to give a hint. A few special prizes will be awarded to the students on that day. We have, I'm not going to mention the name of the agencies as yet, but we have a few big companies that will be coming on board to actually offer a few gifts to the winning teams there as well. So it's quite an interesting event and prize ceremony that we'll be seeing there.
Great. Definitely, we will be looking forward to being there at that event this coming April the 30th for media coverage. We want to experience that occasion there also. And again, and lastly, before we wrap it up, Deon, what would be your, asks of the general public?
All right,
This
so
coming April the 30th.
So April 30th, it's going to be a full family-oriented affair, a full family-oriented event. And so persons can come out with their families to witness schools in action in something that you only see these type of competitions in the first world countries.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
And our plan is not to keep it here within the borders of Guyana, but to basically go internationally. And we're already in discussions in that regard. So persons can come out, there'll be entertainment for the kids, there'll be a kids zone with bouncy castle, trampoline, merry-go-round. You will have some of these paintball targets, you can win prizes. And of course, for the adults, you'll have a few novelty games, you'll have some jet ski shows as well in between the races. So while the races are getting ready, you have some jet ski shows happening there. Banks DIH is coming on board. They're already on board in a big way to, keep the athletes energized with all of their power drinks, energy drinks.
So on, yeah.
We also have our sponsors, SLB, formerly called Schlumberger.
Yeah.
They'll be our title sponsor for the event. We have a few other sponsors, the Ministry of Tourism, Guyana Tourism Authority, Office of the Prime Minister, and a few others that are definitely on board, E-Networks. And so persons could come out, have fun, good, clean fun during the Tongue Week celebrations, because it's not just about parties and so forth. This is a family-oriented event. And there is a small cost at the gate there, $200 for kids, $500 for adults, to have a full day of event, just have fun. And of course, there'll be lots of food and sale, lots of beverages, and of course, just fun, excitement, and quite a number of surprises as well.
As Mr. Deon said, it's going to be fun, and guess what? It's going to be in the sun, hopefully on April the 30th. I'm urging corporate Guyana to come out in your numbers, come from region 1, 2 to 10. You guys come out, let's support this venture. This is going to be groundbreaking, life-changing also for every school that will be participating. Again, I must commend you for the way that you guys, go about organizing this, because to see that you guys tend to bring in, some other islands' way of life into Linden, and also bring in Georgetown students from Georgetown to Linden to probably some QC students that's never even kayaked before. So it's all about providing life-changing events, as I alluded to. So definitely we will be looking out to see what April the 30th brings. Fun in the sun, definitely. You heard it directly from Dr. Deon Anderson, the proprietor of Elite Kayaking and Nature Tours. This has been a Big Smith presentation, and I want to say thanks to my technical operator also. Until next time, guys.